Her grandparents, he drove new cars all the time too. And trucks at the same time.
All right, stick to the story.
All right, keep going.
All right, guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Living It. Today, we are going to hear from my dad. He wrote his Christmas letter, and in this Christmas letter, he wrote about how my mom and him first met. I have no clue what's really in this letter, so if it gets kind of dicey, yeah. And again, it's his version of how they met. So if you're not already subscribed, go and subscribe down below. Give us a thumbs up. You're going to enjoy this video. I promise you it will be interesting if my dad wrote the letter. All right, Grandpa's going to read his letter. Everybody else is going to be quiet. You got to read it loud, Dad.
We have to be quiet.
Christmas 42 years ago, about this time of year, I kissed my dream girl. About a year earlier, while at an after-game party, a voice in my head said, she'd make a perfect wife. This little blonde who's a social butterfly, making everyone feel at home by serving drinks. I wondered and watched her more intently. Then I thought, we could never date. Look around at her house. She was clearly out of my price range. However, early that evening, this little blonde had asked me to dance with her and invited me over for a party. She wouldn't even remember the dance or my being there years later. She just used the dance to accumulate more guests for her party. I guess to have better stats on Monday to report to her so-called friends. But what did I know about a 16-year-old girl? How she thinks and how she feels. Her feeling of lack of friends or her history of being entirely relatively new in this town. The following summer, I ended up in the hospital. She brought a recent girlfriend to the hospital to visit me. However, the highlight of the visit wasn't my old girlfriend. Instead, I was amazed to see how the party girl had changed to a born-again Christian in just 1 year. She allowed my recent girlfriend her space, but in the end, she invited me to her church. A little shocked, but I replied, I just might visit your church some Sunday. A few weeks later, I attended her church. I rededicated my life to Christ and began hanging out with her some at church. That's when she asked me to go Christmas shopping with her for a present for her boyfriend. And she reasoned that she could help me pick out a gift for my girlfriend.
Mom was scandalous.
Weird arrangement, but still felt in my heart we'd be more than friends someday, so I agreed. I had no idea it would be sooner than later. Then a few weeks later, she asked me to go with her to meet her grandparents. I said, sure, if you can go meet mine on the way back home. My grandpa and grandma have become dear to me as we traveled together on weekends. And as I could now drive, I even stayed with them some on the weekends at their house. I value Grandpa's opinion about everything. It's easy to see he was a blessed and seasoned man. He was rich in wisdom and time. Her grandparents, he drove new cars all the time too. And trucks at the same time.
All right, stick to the story.
All right, keep going. This is not.
All our cars were rusty.
This is not over. Keep going.
Her grandparents had raised her in part, so maybe she unknowingly wanted their opinion about me, as maybe deep in my subconscious I did about her. That night, my grandparents asked if we were dating. She quickly said no and laughed and went on to say, we're just friends. However, the night must...
We both said we're just friends. Friendship. Now. We're just friends.
Okay, let the grandma finish reading.
Ew. Yes,
This is really
all right,
bad.
keep going.
Later, so
No.
I'm about to edit all this out. Shh.
However, before I was so rudely interrupted. The night must have gone well because we laughed about how our grandparents thought we were a couple. She told me about how cherished her mom and pa were to her. She explained how, even though they didn't have much, they always seemed happy. Strangely enough, I could see that. Looking back, they could focus on the moment, truly pause and enjoy their visitors. They seemed to have no worries because they had no cars and no house payments. They lived in a trailer. Anyway, life's good in a trailer. No taxes. You pay cash for it.
This is not in the letter. Back to the
Back to the letter. Okay.
You're overhyping
Wah,
this,
wah.
Dad. It's not really perfect.
Later that night, as she parked the car in her mom's driveway, she lingered. As I exited the car, heading toward my car, she followed me to the edge of the street.
Are we on page 1 or 2?
Two.
Oh my
On
god.
page
Oh
2.
my goodness.
It's getting
This is
complicated.
getting good. It's getting steamy now.
Yeah.
Get on
Then
the
it
story.
happened.
I'm not listening.
On a cold winter's night, she leaned in. No, I leaned in. She leaned in a little, and we kissed. Fireworks happened. Yet it was 6 months till the 4th of July. She dropped her Bible between us. I was going to be late getting home, so I had to leave. Yet I knew it was best to leave while I was ahead. Not long after the kiss, I heard another voice in my head say, "If you even attempt to have sex with this girl, she will never become your wife."
We have a child in
Said PG-13. Strange thought. Nonetheless, I feared and heeded the voice because I knew she was the one. Why is this a Christmas story, you ask? Well,
Yes, I ask why.
it started during the mysterious time of
This ain't
year
no Home
called
Alone.
Christmas.
Serious.
42 years ago. The nostalgia of Christmas for me is filled with memories of my little small church putting on Christmas plays made up of us kids, portraying Jesus being born into a cold, cruel world, yet giving the people of my coal mining valley hope. Somehow, these gruff, hard-working miners pulled together to share with those who didn't have hope. They made baskets of hams and turkeys and nuts and fruit to deliver throughout the valley. Most of us kids were excited and thankful on the Sunday before Christmas to get a simple brown lunch bag filled with an apple, an orange, Lifesavers, and a pack of juicy fruit gum.
So y'all better be grateful while y'all.
And assorted single-wrapped like Hershey's Kisses. That bag was like a pre-present before Christmas. Dad, being a miner, would buy us one big toy and spend 12 months paying for it at the company store. So Christmas to me meant sacrifice of God giving to us with men trying their best to do the same, to imitate the same. It was a time that hard, cold men showed a beating heart inside their stony exterior. Even a time when men became little boys again as they curiously played with their children's electric race track. I'm blessed as a Christian not to owe for the company store. It's still a sacrifice of the heart, but it's worth every penny. Hopefully, it will fill a child with wonder, maybe some future nostalgia of time that grown men actually acted like little boys again, at least for one day. Credits go to God, who gave us his only son, Emmanuel, and even prophesied ahead of time to the people who could see him coming. He prophesied to the people who could not see him coming when he did arrive. This son, Jesus, is the hope. Gives us hope of becoming little children again. He fills us believers with wonder and wow at everything he's preparing for us. Without this hope, we are all men most miserable, living in a world that's cold and where men can seem hard without hope in Christ. He is the light of the world, so have yourself a Merry Christmas knowing this hope.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell.
Yep.
Bye.
Ew.